Charolais. I'm John Mercer, co-principal of Kandanga Valley Charolais and Charbray stud, situated in the Mary Valley, just southwest of Gympie. We run about 1,200 stud cattle over properties in the Gympie district and also the Southwest Downs. Annually we hold an on-property sale here at Warravale, Kandanga. About 100 Charolais and Charbray bulls sold there, and also we conduct another sale annually at Nebo in North Queensland around about November, December. Both studs breeds we commenced in 1988, so 31 years of registered stud breeding, but family on this property have had Charolais infused cattle since the early 1970s. It's proven to us the highly profitable cattle, kilos per hectare, those sorts of things, great carcass cattle, especially the Charbray. Charbray love this country here on the coast. The bulk of our Charolais breeders now running on the Downs country. We've sort of, things are working out quite successfully. We bring the young bulls back here to grow out and acclimatise because the majority of our buyers are in Tiki country, and Kandanga Valley bulls have a reputation for standing up quite well in those harder coastal type areas. AgSolutions was right from the very start when Trevor Zerner was thinking about starting the company. He asked us to trial some of the product, and so we were one of the very first to use it. We were unsure what it would do, but it turned out, one thing we noticed as soon as we had the first lot of rain after application was the cattle every afternoon. When cattle come out to graze, that's the first place they went, was that particular spot. So the cattle told us basically that Natramin was certainly doing something for the pastures, and so you can't dispute that fact. So we've been using them off and on since then, which is quite a long time, probably, I don't know, pushing 20 years I suppose. It's been a good additive. It's not the be all and end all to your pasture programs, but it's certainly, it helps the fertiliser. You can cut your fertiliser bills in half and use a bit of Natramin, and it seems to get a lot better results. You see better clover growth, those sorts of things. So I think it certainly helps the biology of the soil, no doubt about that. But we've certainly noted their other product, Megamin, for the cattle side of things. When things get dry out at Mooney, we use the lick blocks out there just for the cattle to digest that dry grass. But over here we're preparing 150 odd bulls a year for sales. We've used Megamin in our rations now for quite a long time. We've been selling on property for 13 years, and I'd say we've had the product in there that whole time, I would think. We just prepare our bulls for about 80 to 90 days prior to sale. And because it's a fairly wet climate and bulls around feeders and things, you can develop some foot rot issues and those sorts of things. But we've found with Megamin in the diet that seems to eliminate that problem. In one new ration we were trialling, we didn't specifically ask to have it in, so the company a bit sceptical. They just left it out, sort of thing. So, but we with that one group of bulls, that was probably the only group we hadn't had the Megamin in the ration for quite a long time. We spent a lot of money on antibiotics fixing feet issues, foot rot and those sorts of things. So I don't know what's the main thing is in it that seems to work, but it certainly works. We've proven it, and we can't deny the facts. So every ration we get made up now, we demand that we have Megamin added. We try to keep our rations simple. for the feed companies. If they, we don't like to disturb them too much. We just like to make sure of a good constant ration. So if it's pretty much fits in with their system, well, we let it slip, but we just add the Megamin into the diet, and it's all delivered rations. We don't mix our own, so yeah, works well. Probably a major challenge, I think most stud producers go through this as well, is having enough country to run the oncoming young stud cattle, our future breeders. So the stud game is a lot of work in it compared to commercial cattle, and so we all probably carry that bit more debt than the average commercial man, and we rely on 1 or 2 days a year at our bull sales to service our debt and get enough income for the rest of the year. Needing so much land, we've got to borrow money to buy more land, so we all tend to be a little bit overstretched. There's a lot of bulls on the market, there's a lot of good cattle on the market, so it's hard to maintain that position where people, they desire your cattle. So we work hard on breeding a fairly good carcass type animal with high meat yield, but also the ability to lay down fat, less than ideal environment. So we're looking for good soft cattle, but good meaty cattle all the time. Fertility is very important to us. Very few cattle get a second chance to go in calf in our system here. Out on the downs, they get so fat anyway, they've just got to go. So we've I think the last 3 or 4 lots we've sent to the Dalby sale, we've topped the sale pretty much each time with our cattle. We've sold, we sent 2 decks of Charolais cows to the meatworks about 18 months ago. They came averaged $2,000 a head for us. So we breed big, strong cattle. Keeping ahead of costs is a big thing. On the coast here, we do have a very high tick population, which doesn't stop really through winter either. We have a lovely balanced rainfall, 45-inch rainfall, and we do get some fairly nice winter rain at times, so the ticks basically just keep on coming. We do have to balance the types of chemicals and things we use, and to keep on top of them. We're just trialling the high sulphur Megamin on our young Charolais bulls running on Kikuyu just across the road here. We're hoping that that'll assist us a bit to keep the ticks and the buffalo fly away without, so we can just reduce that chemical usage a bit. But the Charbray cattle, they're not too bad. They're bred to handle a few ticks, and they certainly love this semi-coastal country, there's no doubt about it. And they just keep on performing for us. The ongoing drought at the moment in New South Wales and Queensland is certainly a worry for all of us as bull breeders. We're seeing the female herd numbers drop dramatically, and we're just wondering in this upcoming season, is there enough cows for all the bulls? Personally, it's affecting us on our Mooney property. We'd be lucky to have had 7 inches of rain there in the last 12 months, and we just got a bit recently and planted our oats, but that was a bit of a gamble too. But the cattle are held up well. They look very good. We don't overstock our country, and that's been a real saviour to us in the last 12 months. We went into the winter with a big body of grass, and that's carried us right through until now. And with the Megamin lick blocks, it's just the cattle seem to hold up quite well. We grow about 100 hectares of oats, mainly just to put our weaner bulls on and give them a good start in life. Bulls need a good start in life. They've got to develop their bone and their muscle and their good head shape and all those sorts of things. It's very hard to make a really good bull out of a calf that's had a really tough weaning. So yeah, it's just for our bulls. The heifers just go straight onto grass, and they calve out there about 2 to 2.5 years of age to low birth weight Charolais bulls. We're lucky in that temperament in our cattle. We're lucky in that respect because we've got the numbers. We're not a small stud with 50 cows trying to make a living and keep every bull and trying to deceive people by breaking them in to be quiet. They're just naturally quiet, or they're not. If they're not, well, they've got to go, because you can never get rid of them quick enough, those stirry cattle, because they just upset the rest. So we get rid of them as quick as we can. It's important to us, the temperament. And I'm not as young as I used to be, so we're looking for value for money and efficiency. Most of our stock work on these coastal properties, because they're hilly, is done on horseback with dogs. But Mooney's totally flat, so we use two-wheeler and a ute to muster out there. And it's very hot too out there, so it's hard on dogs and horses. So when summer comes, it's just, motorbike's the way to go. Early mornings and later afternoons out in that country, because it's, I don't know if it's like that all the time. The last 6 years we've had it, it's peaking up around the 45 degrees a fair bit at times. But the Charolais cattle, they seem to, it doesn't affect their eating pattern at all. They might be out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon again after they've had a drink, and they're just out there grazing away again. In fact, some of the paddocks out there has been farmed quite a bit, so they actually could do with a bit more shelter, but doesn't seem to worry the Charolais. Being white-coated, I suppose, helps a lot. But they're quite happy to graze in those sort of temperatures. They're brought up pretty tough, and they can hack most things. The Charbray's bred from one of the biggest breeds in the world in the Charolais, and the most versatile breed in the world, probably the Brahman. It just makes sense that Charbray are probably going to grow quicker and faster than most of the other Brahman-derived breeds. It's just a pure fact of the parent breeds that they started from. And over the years, the Charbray breeders have, maintained that muscling, tried to keep a lovely moderate animal going along that's got the ability to lay down fat, and steered away from that extreme animal that just keeps on growing and can't get fattened to suit Australian markets, So, Australian cattlemen are very versatile. We know what our markets need, and it's no point breeding something that the markets don't need. So it all comes down to facts and figures, really. If you're not sort of meeting the market, you're not meeting your financial commitments, basically. So it's pretty simple. I just say whatever most other Brahman-derived breeds can do, the Charbray can do better. It's just a fact. They grow quicker. They've got more muscle. They're brilliant mothers. And then you have that massive big cow to turn off when you finish breeding from her. It's not uncommon for us to average over 700 kilos per cow at the sale yards. That's our common weight when we sell our used cows. So that's an amazing advantage over a lot of other breeds. We need the people in the city, and the city people need us. There's no one can dispute that. And I don't think there's a major divide. There's just the connection between the city people and rural people has broken fairly much. You go back my parents' generation, and maybe even my generation, they all had cousins, city cousins who came to the country, all those sorts of things. But now, as Australia's getting older, that city connection is probably dropping off a little bit. But as far as this vegan issue recently, I'm a bit disappointed that none of our leaders have come up and explained the situation, that if the world was to turn vegan tomorrow, it would be a major detriment to the world. We would have to grow huge amounts of crops to get that protein to feed the world, therefore ploughing more country, causing more erosion, whether it's through rain or wind or dust, growing crops in marginal country that now run cattle in a purely safe environment and will do so for thousands and thousands of years without degradation. We'd use a lot more fertiliser. A lot of fertiliser in Australia, in the world, is a finite source. Instead of having thousands of years of fertiliser use, we'd probably reduce that down to a couple of hundred. It just goes on and on and on. The world cannot afford to be a vegan world. It cannot sustain a vegan world. And I don't think anyone's put that out there in the media. It needs to be told that the world cannot sustain and produce enough protein through plants to feed the world. We just can't do it. We've got a massive area of marginal country that runs livestock, producing cheap protein for the world, and we just cannot be a vegan world. It's not sustainable. We've travelled around the world a bit on Charolais Congress tours, and I can assure you the Australian livestock system is by far the most humane, probably in the world. There's a lot more cattle grown and finished in open spaces. Europe and North America are accustomed to seeing cattle fed in barns in high populations prior to slaughter. We're not, so feedlots to us seem initially a bit inhumane, but when you see the rest of the world, because of the cold climate, they must have cattle in barns. They must have animals in barns. So as people attacking Australian livestock breeders, really, you're attacking the wrong people. We're the most humane animal breeders in the world. We run on a shoestring budget here, so if we lose a bull or something, it's a big concern to us. Yeah, we love it. It's a lovely spot here. Lovely spot to live, and wouldn't be anywhere else, I don't think, really.